Hello, it's Claire from Comeback Writer here. This is the next one in my series of what to expect when you go no contact. And I'm going to talk about the lies, because, like I've said previously, like this whole realization about narcissistic personality disorder, it's like layers of an onion. You work through one bit, and then there's something else that you've got to tackle. So I'm telling you all this stuff so that you understand like the stages, and if you've not gone through it, you will know it will be coming. Or maybe it's something that you've not thought about yet, but it's going to come up at some point. And I remember the thing about it is, because I talked about the smear campaign, that was the last video I did, and that's a bunch of lies about you. Okay, now what I'm going to talk to you about today is the bunch of lies that's told about other people. So one of the, the principal ways in which a narcissist works is that they lie. Okay, and what they actually, and it's not just about you. Okay, this is the other thing. It's kind of quite, in some ways, quite helpful to understand that whilst you might be the scapegoat and you might be the target for them, that they have actually scapegoated other people, and other people have been targets of their abuse, even if it's indirectly, even if it's by like the smear campaign that they've been conducting about them to other people. So you can actually witness the smear campaign that narcissists have been perpetrating against other people in the lies that you've been told. So I remember once, and I was thinking to myself about a particular family member, and I was thinking, whatever it was, I can't remember precisely what it was, and I had the thought about them, and then I was like, if that's true. And I remember where I was in my living room, and I was just like, oh wow. It like hit me like a train, because what I realized in that moment was, I knew then at that stage that they'd been lying about me, and their lies had been exactly opposite to who I am, to my natural character. And then I realized, stood in my living room, that everything that I'd been told by them about my family was probably a lie. And that was a very difficult thing to process. It was a very difficult thing to process, because I knew the things that had been said about me were the opposite. So then I started to presume that the things that I've been told about my family also were opposite. And that was the point. I couldn't cope with it at that time. Okay. But I didn't have any connections with any of these family members. We didn't have like a personal relationship. These people were like relations, but like only Christmas kind of thing, only, not any real deep connections there, because either my parents had destroyed that connection, or just there wasn't going to be that connection there. So I didn't feel it was kind of the right thing to reach out to these people. It's like I didn't want to go there. But now when I think about family members, there is always a massive element of doubt whenever I think about the stories that I've been told about family members. So obviously, like all families, there've been like dramas, there've been like marriage split ups, there've been children born, all the stuff happening that happening, or people die, wills written, all this stuff. And every time I realized also, this is the other thing I realized, that all the communication about that particular family member, everything that I thought I knew about them, had come from my narcissistic parents. So this is triangulation. This is when the narcissist controls the communication. So what they will do is they will drive a wedge between you and somebody, whoever that might be. That might be your sibling, that might be an aunt, it might be a cousin, whoever it is. And then what they'll do is they'll make it so that they're the source of information and knowledge about that person. And then you go to them instead of going directly to the person. And then the narcissist has the opportunity to put their own spin on it, to put their own agenda in the way. So they will decide whether or not they want you to have a relationship with that person and what kind of relationship they want you to have with that person. And then the whole thing will be entirely dictated by them. And that goes two ways. That goes for your relationship with the other person, but it also goes for their relationship with you too, because they're the point. They're the ones controlling the communication both ways. So I've shared in a previous video where, you know, a narcissist will project onto other people what they're doing, you know, their things they don't like about themselves. So if they're jealous, they will accuse the other person of being jealous. If they are spiteful, they will accuse the other person of being spiteful. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll do something that is spiteful and horrible. And they will tell you that the other person has done it. So this is how they work. You cannot trust anything that's coming out of these people's mouths. You truly can't trust any of it, because it's all with an agenda. They want to make you feel a certain way. They want to make you feel that you're not close with your sibling. See, I remember my parents once told me that my brother had said to them that he didn't like the way that I answered the phone. Now, this was back before FaceTiming and all that kind of stuff, so you would just pick up the phone. So it was just a voice thing, and he didn't like it. And then that made me think, well, I would have preferred he told me that, but it made me think, oh, I don't want to speak to my brother anymore. If he's thinking these things and he's not telling me, and he's irritated by the way that I answer the phone. But now I think that could have been a complete lie, and it was to make me not phone him. And then my father could control our relationship by being the one that controlled the stories, if you want, or the lies. So instead of speaking direct to my brother to hear what's going on with him, I would speak to my dad, and then my dad would give me his version of it with his agenda, which was that ultimately that me and my brother wouldn't get on. So this is why it's such a huge thing to process, because I think, really, to be honest, if it all came at you to start off with, you'd just be a complete car crash. You would not be able to cope with everyday normal life, because the world doesn't stop because you're going through this. You still got to have a job. You still trying to have decent relationships with the family members that you got, and your friends, and your social life, and paying your mortgage, and all the stuff that you've got to do as you're processing all this. So it happens in stages. With me, it happened in stages because it was too much for me to cope with all at once. And the betrayal goes really deep when you realize that you might have actually been kept from loving family members. You might have been kept from them. Because when I think about certain aunts and uncles that I've got, I think I didn't have enough experience of them myself. I was only a child. You don't know what's going on when you're a child, but you automatically believe your parents, or at least you want to. Or it doesn't even occur to you maybe that they're lying so systematically about those people. So I don't know the truth about my family. And like I said, I don't have that connection with any of them that I want to pursue it. And none of them have reached out since I've been no contact. And I wasn't bothered about losing most of them when I went no contact, because the damage had been done. Between the lies about me told to other people and the smear campaigns conducted by my parents about other people, that decimated any potential relationships. Because what the narcissist wants to do, they want to keep you on your own. And if you have an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or whoever, or grandparent, whatever, or a friend that you can confide in, you might start to reveal the truth. And they're terrified about that. They want you on your own. So I want you to understand that, but it's really hard. It's really, really hard, because sometimes I do think to myself, I wonder what the truth is. I wonder what the truth is. I wonder if they really did do those things, or I wonder if it's a lie. And that's something to process. That's something to work through. It's not a 5-minute thing. When you realize that at that point, now I was 36 when I went no contact. When you realize at that point, I've been lied to deliberately and systematically for 36 years about every single family member, your mind just can't really cope with it. So it becomes a process of coming to terms with that. And if you're fortunate and you have got a connection with a family member, or you had a good connection with a family member, and then something happened and it was ruined, then maybe think about reaching out again. So the problem is that the narcissist will make things very difficult. And there's only a certain amount of effort people are willing to put in when there's nothing coming the other way, if that makes sense. So if you did have a family member who was trying to keep in contact with you, but the narcissist got in the way, then they weren't gonna necessarily be keep on trying for years. But you will know the people. You will know the ones that you want to maybe reconnect with tentatively. And you've got to reach a certain point to realize, hang on, to really work through, is this person really for me, or are they potentially a flying monkey? Are they going to work on behalf of the narcissist? Is it going to take me back? Is it going to stall my healing if I do reach out to them? But I have heard clients tell me that they have reconnected with extended family members, and the whole thing has been healing for both of them. They've been validated. They've heard somebody else's experiences of their parents' abuse, the smear campaign, of the lies told about them, and it's been a very beneficial relationship, and something that still continues now to this day. So you've got to just work out, is this really the right thing for me? And can I cope with this right now? Is this something I can deal with? So this probably isn't a shock to you, really, but I think it really does come as like a bit of a shock when you just really sit with it and think, hang on a minute, they had control over every single one of my relationships. And in some cases, if that connection is not so they may well have like prevented the connection from forming. So you might have had a better relationship with your extended family if the narcissist hadn't got in there with their poison. On both sides. And that's like part of the grieving process too. So it's like I know I keep on about the grieving process, but I think it's something to really understand as part of the process. Is you're grieving like the narcissist and the relationship that you could have had, and the person they could have been to you. And then as people drop off, because they're protecting the narcissist, they're then they're taking sides, and it's not your side, basically. So you kind of go no contact with them by default. You've got to grieve them too, and the relationship you could have had, the relationship that you wanted to have, the one that you needed to have with them, the person that you thought they were, the person that you wanted them to be, the person that you needed them to be. That's a grieving process for each person who drops off. It's not always just the narcissist. That's the saddest thing. It's often other family members are so tied in with it, they can't see they're tied in with it, and they're still their priority is still to protect the narcissist. And then it becomes like a slightly different grieving process as you start to grieve the relationships with other people out, you know, extended family and friends that you could have had, that you should have had, that you wanted and needed, but it was either like destroyed before it could form anything, or after the event, it was the narcissist threw a grenade in there and absolutely decimated your relationship. That's another stage of the grieving process. And it's like lies about my history. That's the other thing. It's like, who am I when I thought I came from a loving family, although it was a bit off. I knew something was off. I thought I came from a loving extended family, but no one's reached out to me since I've got no contact. So who am I? If, you know, it's like, wow, everything that I thought I knew about my family, my immediate family, my parents and my brother, and then my extended family, is not true. And it can be very, very disorientating, can be very, like, knock you out of balance. But if you know that it's coming, you know that it's coming, just understand, just work through it, write it out. Just like, you know, just ask yourself, should I reach out to this person? If you feel that way, just be very careful, because they may well be one of the flying monkeys for the narcissist. But you'll be able to work that out pretty quickly. If they're interested in having a conversation with you and they respect your boundaries and they don't talk about your parent or whoever it is that you've got no contact with, then that's very good signs. That's very good signs. So, you know, but it's something to work through and process together with all the rest of it. So I usually say this on my videos, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's something that needs to be repeated. And that is to be just really patient and kind to yourself, because what you're processing and going through is absolutely massive. Somebody effectively has like thrown in multiple grenades into your world, and everything's blown up in your face. And it can be something that's very difficult to work through, whilst you're still trying to maintain a life and everything that you do. It's not, you know, it would be great if you could take a whole month off and go and sit on the beach somewhere, or get a therapist for a month and do some intensive healing, but that's not the way it works. And you have to be willing to reach out for help too. That's the other thing. Reach out, don't suffer on your own. Reach out for help if there's anything that you don't understand. So if you've got any more suggestions for any more of these videos, there's anything I've not thought of, and I'm sure there's a lot, I would really appreciate it if you either drop a comment below or you email me, Clare, CLARE, comebackbrighter@gmail.com. Now take care. Bye.